or if this is the first time you've been hearing it, last Monday, this Monday, and next Monday, we are trying something new, or except maybe not new, but refreshed or just new to us, okay? It's new to us. We're taking our Monday calls and we're putting it on social media and remaining true to you on the road and keeping it going on Free Conference Call HD. We're going to keep it at 35 minutes at most. I promise we're not going to go long because then it defeats the purpose, not only to you getting your day started, but the algorithm doesn't like when people talk too long anyway. So 35 minutes to start your day. I'm going to get on script. Thomas is here with me, and Dom Wilson will be joining me in just a moment. Welcome in, and today, again, is part 2 of our 3-part series, where last week we discussed a little bit about, if you didn't know what it was, go back and listen to it. Today, we're going to discuss a year in review, and we're going to take a look at what worked, what didn't, and why are we going to do that? Well, you can't really have an opinion about something unless you've studied that something. You can't really have an opinion and make a chance to improve on it if you don't know what you did or what you didn't do. So one of the things I really want you to do over the course of the back half of December is take time and opportunities outside of your sales time to really analyze what worked, what didn't, what did you do, what are the numbers, and Thomas and Dom are going to help walk us through that conversation in just a couple minutes today. But before we do, I want to remind you, you can still send out the conference call number to whoever you'd like so that they can listen in to what we do. It is available across the industry. They don't have to have their business with us. They don't have to have carrier contracts in-house. They don't have to be writing with us, but they can still take an opportunity to learn what we're doing, and feel free to share that information out with others as well. Second, the YouTube channel. Share out the link. And if you have an opportunity to watch later, this call, last week's call, and the call after that will be available for you to rewatch live, or you could just hang up on the phone and watch us live if you'd like as well. Moral of the story here, let's get the word out. We have some of the best, most engaging and educational content. And unfortunately, I've realized we were keeping it under a rock. That rock has been lifted. It's available for others to see, but I need your help in helping other people to see it. Because we offer some of the most elite and consistent training across the industry. We do something approximately 255 days a year. Do you believe that? Thomas, would you believe we do this nearly 255 days a year?
All the time. All the time.
And not only do we do it in such a consistent manner that it helps people start their day, but we do it in a way that keeps them educated and updated, because things consistently change in the industry. And this time of year, they change pretty often. And there's going to be someone that misses something because they weren't engaged in the kind of routine and education that we provide here. Now, we wrapped up annual enrollment. I want you to also keep in mind that just because annual enrollment for you Medicare folks ended on Saturday, your production of Medicare doesn't have to end. Remember, with Medicare, there are consistently special enrollment periods throughout the course of the year that will always be available to you. Now, more than ever, the fully integrated plans are becoming more and more popular and more accessible across multiple states. Do a little bit of research, look into it. Delaware, for example, fully integrated plans mean if I talk to a dual eligible person today in Wilmington, Delaware, I've got opportunities to do an enrollment even though annual enrollment has ended. LIS creates an opportunity that works pretty much year-round. Chronic special needs plans, boy, they're better than they were last year and the year before. Consistent year-round opportunities. Plenty of opportunities for you to be able to write Medicare from now until the end of December. And then boom, come January 1st, OEP begins, and you've got even more reasons and more opportunities to continue to write business. The reality is this. The routine and the structure that you created around your business the last 6, 7, or 8 weeks is critical. It's critical. And it's so critical that you continue to carry forward that routine that you built, you maintained, and you produced on through the course of the rest of the year. Don't put it to chance. Don't put it to bed. Don't put it to waste, because if you don't do anything today, tomorrow, and the entire week ahead, you skip the next week, you enjoy Christmas, and you sleep through the one after that, everything you've done the weeks before will have gone to waste. Also, quick side note here, I'm going to be putting a focus back in making sure we get some carrier contracting cleaned up for those that have stuff that isn't finished. We get some folks ready to sell that haven't been selling yet. And I make a redirected effort towards getting more of you writing Medicare and helping folks as we enter the Medicare free agency season. This week, it's the winter meetings for baseball. If you're a baseball fan, what does that mean? They're not playing any games, but their general managers talking and trading and signing players and negotiating large deals. January 1st opens Medicare free agent season. So if we've got stuff that needs to get done, you've got stuff that needs to get moved, then is the time to get that started. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I'm going to turn the mic over to Thomas, and he's going to share with you a topic he requested probably 2 weeks ago. He said, I want to do an autopsy of 2025 or something a little bit more delicate than that. And I thought, hey, that's a great topic. I think if we're going to learn about what we did, why not talk about it? And since it's something he wants to talk about and he was willing to join us on camera today, the next 15 minutes, 10 minutes or so, Thomas is going to share with us his thoughts, his reflections, and his data analysis of 2025 so that you can get better and you can know what kind of information you need to review as you prepare to wrap up this year and move into the next. Thomas, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for letting me come on to say my piece. Yeah, the conversation was about doing a policy
I checked
autopsy
the mic audio
overview.
on your pre-conference call, HD Thomas. I don't believe I can hear you on that side.
I think you got me, probably got me muted.
Hold on. I got that. You know why I would be? Because I have to unmute you. Let me do that. That would make a big difference in you being able to speak there. All righty. I'm muted on the call. There we go. We're working. Go ahead.
All right. So what I do now, I started this last year, so I just do an audit of my policies that I wrote, the companies that I used, just so I can know what's working, what's not working. So for people who are brand new to the business, people who may have some experience but may not do this, this is just what I do. Take pieces or take it all, eat the fish, spit out the bones. So I look at what carriers did I write with each carrier, how many policies I wrote, how many lapsed, what specific products I wrote with that carrier. The way I do it, it's two ways you can do it. You can either have a CRM database, go high level, agency block, things like that. You can have something you make up yourself, like an Excel file that you have to manually update, or you can also use a carrier back office. Most carriers back office will show you your book of business that you wrote, the name of the policy owner. Every company is different, but you need to really go back there and take a look. And the things I look at is I figure out why did some products lapse with my clients and why some didn't lapse. Also, I figure out, was it a client fit? Was it policy service for the specific type of client? Also, what carriers that I didn't write? Why I didn't write this specific carrier this year? Why I didn't write this particular product? Because also, carriers will terminate you for no production. And I've been terminated before for no production. So if I have a carrier I didn't write this year, why I didn't write that particular company? Having this data should help guide you for the next year about where you want to put your focus at. If you have a certain client that fits this profile, maybe this carrier works better for them than the other carrier. And also, give you an example. I'm a name check of a company, Foresters. Foresters has a pretty good back office. You can go in the back office, click on reports, and it'll show you cases that was issued. You can see who the names was. You can see who lapsed. And you can get a feel for, okay, this particular product didn't last that long. Why didn't it do it? So just things like that, just to get a feel for which companies is working for you, which products is working for you, so you can know not to write a certain carrier, not to write a certain carrier with a certain client. So that's the gist of what I was talking about.
Well said. You know what's interesting, Thomas? I've been trying. You know what's interesting? Sorry, I was about to get on my phone again. I'll get used to this. I've been trying to get better at organizing my finances, and I think I've shared this a couple different times with folks on our call. First time probably on social media. I was taking a look at my end of month numbers last month, and I totaled up all the money that had run through one of my credit cards, and it wasn't the amount of money that had run through the credit card that made me sick to my stomach. It was that I didn't really know where it was, who it was, why it was. Like, was this all personal? Was this all business? Was this all Amazon orders? Was this all, Woodford orders because I like a nice bourbon once in a while? I didn't know. I didn't have the data to decide to myself if this was good or bad information. So then I took a couple steps to kind of separate them. all right, business needs to go on a business card. I'm not doing very good managing this credit card. I don't get to have access to it anymore. Like trying to take the steps to better understand what this is before formulating what comes next in organizing that finance and that credit card. I think a lot of agents get overly emotional about how their business has looked without actually looking at their business. You know, we track our production, we track how much money goes into our bank account. But you said something to me last week as well that I think is super powerful, is understanding the back offices on these carriers and the data that it provides. For example, you write a lot of Baltimore Life. Are there some things on the Baltimore Life portal that maybe I don't know or somebody listening or watching may not know that might provide them the kind of insight necessary to understand this year and plan for the next?
Yeah, there's a report. I think it's ISD sales. It shows you sales for an entire year, and it'll show you which products you sold, how many issued, how many placed, how many was not taken versus how many lapsed. And you can actually get a numerical idea of this particular product stuck, this particular product didn't stick. So that's one of the probably the best reports they have on that in their back office.
Also, I like the fact they email you right away. They're getting paid. They let you know if you're carrying a balance. They let you know what you got paid for. I think it's just a matter of checking those reports that makes a big difference in understanding this data as well. Do you find there's a particular time of day or a particular time of week where you're really taking a look at your business outside of trying to produce?
Today, Monday is like my maintenance day. It's like a barber. You know, barbers are closed on Mondays. Monday is the day I look at all my numbers. I check all the emails. I take a deeper look at all my numbers on Mondays because I typically don't really start working till about 10 o'clock on Mondays. So that's my day to do all that type of work.
Well said. You also have made an increased focus the last year or two on the quality of business because nobody wants to get terminated because they had low persistency and they didn't mean to. What have you found over the course of the last year or two in paying attention to your quality of business that would say to you, this client shouldn't be my client, or this prospect is not someone I'm going to place on my book of business, or this person, I'm going to write them once, I'm not going to write them 2, 3, 4, and 5 different times? What have been some of those red flags, as they would say, that have helped you improve your quality of business?
If it's a person that's retired, not working, I'm gonna make sure to put them with a carrier that has Social Security billing if I can. If it's a client that I'm kind of chasing to get them to do the application, I will fall back because I feel like if I chase too hard, they're gonna just get the policy just to shut me up and then finally just cancel it. So if they're fighting too hard to do business with me, I just walk away and let them call me back. If I have a client that I know has a short temper, is not real patient, I'm not going to place them with a carrier that I know they may have to be on hold for too long because they're not going to stay on hold. So those type of clues help me figure out who to go to. Also, to save business, I always send a text to the client 1 or 2 days before their first draft, just as a reminder. As soon as I get an NSF email or text, I immediately contact them. So little things like that is how I try to save some business.
I used to think if I contacted them and reminded them that they were going to get up, the payment was going to go through, they were going to cancel anyway. That probably isn't the most accurate thing that I was thinking. Maybe I don't think there's any data behind that. It's probably completely false. I used to think, and I think we used to operate in our industry in the sense that we want them to buy it, we want them to keep it, we want the policy to come in the mail and them never to open it, look at it, or touch it for at least the first 9 months. But I think as I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, maybe that's a belief that was a little bit broken from the beginning. It is definitely broken now. And especially in a more remote era, having more consistent contact with your client improves the persistency, where being more diligent with your persistency is important when you're selling, as you are and most people are these days, in a remote capacity. Thomas, is there anything else that you've kind of been thinking about as we get closer and closer to next year? Because goal setting and goal planning needs to happen now, not in the middle of January once the year's already begun.
The goal for me is to kind of do more cross-selling with ancillary products and also to do a lot more work on my book of business. I have a pretty big book of business now that I haven't really been contacting as much as I should be. So what I'm doing right now, I'm getting Christmas cards out. I'm mailing out Christmas cards to my clients this month. I got about half of them done. And then in January, I'm going to be sending another letter out to my current clients who's been that client for at least a year as a review letter. Hey, this is Thomas. It's time for annual review to see if you're going to add, make a change to your policy, enhance it. So I'm gonna start really communicating with my book of business more often than I used to.
Is there any technology behind what you're doing with those letters, or are you just simply printing them out, putting a thing on them, and doing it old school?
I'm still old school. I can. It's still manageable for me. I can still print out the labels, and I have an assistant that comes in sometimes. I have her help me out with it, but we live in a technological world now, but some people still like to get letters, personal cards. They still want to get that. It's a zig and a zag. We're so digital now that now analog is like something new. So don't forget about analog.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is so important is to make that human contact with somebody, because a lot of the seniors that we speak to or we meet with are old and lonely. Like, there may not be a lot of people that care much about them this time of year. There may not be anyone that reaches out to them this time of year. And even if an authentically written Christmas card that you put together on a Saturday morning or a Sunday night, or at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday is sent to them and they receive it, that's just a good human thing to do for somebody. And maybe it doesn't always create a policy and a profit that second, but it might keep that policy on the books, and later the downstream opportunities could present themselves to you. One other thing that I found pretty interesting that I wanted to reflect on as we talk about the year in review is there's always people in this industry that come and go. They're here this year and they're gone the next. They're here for 3 months, 6 months, a week, a day. But you've been a pretty solid presence in what we do, our agency, and this industry. What are some other things that I think are worth reflecting on, in your opinion, that lead to long-term consistency in the business?
You know what? You gotta treat it like a business. I talk to a lot of people sometimes, and they want to sell life insurance. They want to do 3 or 4 other things at one time. I'm like, you can't do all 3 at one time. I could probably do 3 things at one time now because I've kind of mastered the insurance part. I could probably add tax service now because I got the insurance down pat. But I meet people who want to do insurance and taxes at the same time, and they don't know either one. And I'm like, you got to just focus on one thing, treat it like a business, work business hours. I'm here at my office at the same time pretty much every day. You got to keep the pipeline going. It's almost like keeping the wheel spinning. You got to keep that wheel spinning. Whether you keeping it spinning or your assistant, your downline, whoever you're using, the wheel got to keep spinning. Once the wheel slows down and stops, the leads stop, the money stops, the policy stops, and you're out of business.
Exactly. I think people are going to grind their wheel to a stop this time of year and then struggle so hard to get it back moving again, just at the most basic level, like giving the presentation itself. We'll get a little bit more practical here for a couple of minutes. It's easy to forget some of the key elements of the presentation if you stop doing it. And if you haven't done it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, come January when the rent and the mortgage are due, you're going to be relearning the presentation itself. So just that repetition of saying the same thing and keeping it fresh and keeping your skills sharp is something that can easily be missed if you don't realize you're losing it over the course of time. Is there anything that you found in your presentation as we talk about this year that has really been helpful in closing business?
I would say I get to the money part, I get to the banking part kind of quick. Because people think they got to make a payment the same day. Someone will make a payment the same day, but they always concerned about, do I need to make a payment today? I'm like, you can if you want to, but it's not required. Now, I still try to get that payment same day, but I get that first thought in mind out the way.
Well said. Well said. We're going to bring Dom Wilson onto the stage next. He's below us, and he's going to discuss with us his thoughts, his analysis of 2025, because you don't get to have an opinion about something in business until you've looked at that something. Our co-host from last week, our co-host this week and next week, Dom Wilson, what are your thoughts, feelings, opinions about this year that you'd like to share with us?
Hey, can you hear me on here in conference call?
I got to unmute you over here too. There we go. Okay.
There we go. All right. Hey, Thomas, what's going on? Me and Thomas been wrapping it up, actually. So we've been sharing a lot of tips and things. Me and him probably talking quite a bit. So one big thing I will say that changed this year versus previous years, I kind of, that's how I really broke it down, is I let my marketing just rip all year. that was like the first focus. I mean, that was more important than like if a bill's got to go a couple extra days, right? That was the most important thing. If you know you're getting 5, 6, 7, on the digital side, if you're getting anywhere from 4 to 7 leads in a day, any one of those can make you $1,000 in revenue. So I know this sounds a little counter, but between having a baby, we had a lot of things going on this year. That marketing never stopped. I was in the hospital. I knew I was not taking any calls. My wife already said there'll be no selling for 3 to 4 days. That marketing was still going. And what I found is, I was actually just in the bed last night reviewing monthly revenue with my wife. She said you had your highest revenue month in August, which is weird because obviously generally the work you do the month before is, is going to be a large contributor to that. And she was like, but you had the least time. I said, I think what it was is I had so little time. When I sat down, I could only call people who text, emailed back, raised their hands, scheduled an appointment, even if I missed the appointment. So I had to immediately go to those people. I did not have time to just call through all these leads. We know we get a lot of tire kickers or people who see the video and they're interested, or, even, they fill out the direct mail. And then by the time they get there, that initial interest is gone. But the people who are texting you and calling you, right, those are your real hot leads. So because I focused on them, I went in there and I'm like, hey, look, I had a baby. What's going on? I'm here to serve. And they were like, okay, great. Let's get down to business. So letting the marketing rip was huge for this year. And I mean, I would say that made my year, especially the back half of the year. Another thing that I would say has been super effective is really narrowing down to core carriers. I still have, it allows me to lead, to say I have 15 carriers, right? I have all these carriers I work with, but ultimately I still am going to give the first look to about somewhere between 3 to 5 carriers max. For me, that's going to be Baltimore Life, as you see in the chat. Big fan of the Transamerica Express product for folks who have a couple more health conditions. Seek is great. I kind of look at that as my backstop, and me and Thomas were kind of chopping it up about this over the weekend or in the last week. But by the time I get through those big 3, right? And if the person's we're not getting approvals, we're not getting any modifies, they're just getting straight decline. Okay, now it's time to scale it back and say, okay, what's really going on? Or maybe we need to look at a graded GTL or something like that. So those have been huge things. I still am the person who I like to get that person that day one cover. So I'll sit and do 6, 8 applications. I'm trying to get away from that because it's a lot of time spent. And you're getting all these declines back. So those have been the 2 biggest things, is really focusing on core carriers, really understanding commission cycles. It helps cash flow immensely. Everybody says this is an activity business, or this is a cash flow business. You need cash flow, because the moment that cash flow stops or dries up, you're going to have to slow down or stop your marketing, right? That's going to lead to less people to see. There'll be no activity. I mean, you'll be doing activity. You'll be doing it on older leads. And we know what the numbers say about older leads. I mean, you're basically turning your current leads into age leads, and age leads just don't have that same penetration rate. So, or the same, close rate. So
2 quick thoughts I wanted to get your opinion on. A lot of times this time of year, people are looking to make some adjustments, make some changes. I was out shopping, watching the Ravens get manhandled by the referees yesterday, all kinds of different stuff. And my phone was going freaking crazy. The ZipRecruiter ads were popping like nuts. And you know why it was? It's because people are sitting at home contemplating what opportunities are out there. What can they do different? Where can they start fresh in the beginning of the year? I didn't even change these ads for weeks, but constantly ZipRecruiter was just popping in my email. But a lot of these people, Thomas, Dom, they're going to have a fear of getting started, and they're never going to get started. So, Dom, how did you overcome fears of getting started in the industry or with our agency to be able to get to the point where you're speaking with such authority right now?
I mean, I'll tell you, I'm the opposite. What you see on social media is such a minority. All these people, you're going to see all these interviews, right? Especially if you start doing research and trying to get better and spend your personal time. You're not your selling time, but your personal time. You're going to see all these interviews about, I sold 40,000 in a month. I sold 40,000 in my first 3 months. I sold whatever it is, right? You're going to see all those stories. That's not typical. Let me give you real numbers. 92% of agents are gone in less than 5 years, right? That's a real number. What that means is, if you want to succeed in this business, you first need to make a decision. that I'm not going to quit. That's the very first thing you need to do. I got licensed in 2015. I can tell you 2021, 2022 was the first time I started to feel like maybe I can do this. That's a long time, right? People quit by then. But my superpower is like, okay, I'm just not going to quit. Okay, I can do this. If that person did it, just find that one person, right? Anywhere in the industry. And you're like, if they can do it, I think I can do it. Like, they don't look like a genius. I think I can do it. So I would definitely say that. Stick with it. You got to learn the business. And I'm not saying you got to learn everything from final expense to premium finance. That's a huge gap. If that word doesn't mean anything to you, it's okay. But what I am saying is, this is a niche business. There are people making 6 figures just doing final expense. If you learn it, you will make 6 figures, right? There are people doing 6 figures in mortgage protection, simplified issue only. There are people making 6 figures doing full underwriting business, right? There are people who write 2 cases a month, but they make 6 figures, right? There are people who make millions of dollars in this business. In fact, I was on Reddit. I love Reddit. I know it's a cesspool of the internet, but I try to stay away from those specific parts of Reddit. But she was like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. People told me I would always be good at insurance, or that you'd be so good at this. And I led off and said, I was told the same thing. The very first person who recruited me said, oh, you're going to be so good at this. You worked on the phones. I have been a bill collector and I've been in customer service. You're going to be so good at this. I was not good at this. The skill set that's required is a very different skill set than you're not an order taker when you're selling life insurance. Now, I think if you come from customer service, a few of those other things, you might be good at Medicare, right? It's a little bit more enrollment based and consultative, right? But life insurance, you need some real sales skills. You need to learn how to overcome objections. You need to not be afraid of confrontation. So to that new agent, I would say, decide you're not going to quit. Really sit down and learn your craft. And if it starts with one carrier, you need to know that carrier inside and out, and then add on a second carrier. And if you're really getting out there doing the reps, you always say you need to get out there and do 100 appointments as soon as possible. Like just get those out the way, but also don't be a drone when you go through the appointment. Don't just read your script and just you need to really learn and then analyze and break down why that appointment didn't go well. You just leave a house or you just got off the phone, take 2 minutes and go, okay, let me type a few notes. What didn't work? What worked? And what you'll notice is you'll start to notice a pattern of what problems the client is having. And then you just tailor your script or your wording, your word track around that. And then when you beat them to the punch about what problems they're having, they see you as credible. And they say, okay, you've probably talked to this person. Okay, you talked to this, they offered this carrier. Oh, it had the 2-year wait. They go, yeah, it did. Or yeah, that price was this much, right? I got toolkits. I punch in the information and say, oh, that carrier cost this much. They go, yeah, it did. Guess what? They're seeing you as credible. You're becoming an expert on that call to them in their mind. Now, when you propose a solution, of course they're going to go with your solution because you're the expert, right? Nobody questions the lawyer, right? Because they're positioned as the expert. You don't generally question your doctor, right? Once they position themselves as the expert. We need to do the same thing, but that means you need to come across as an expert. That means you need to do deeper research and a deeper dive than what your license, what you're going to get in a 2-week licensing course.
I think it comes down to being obsessed with the business, not to the point where your wife walks out the door, your kids don't know who you are, or you die rich and lonely, because that would be terrible. Like, that's my biggest fear in life, die and nobody cared or noticed. Like, please no. Yeah. But be obsessed with the business that you know it so well, that you speak with authority and confidence. And over the course of time, it just gets better and better. We're going to wrap up with 2 last questions. Thomas, I know a lot of people have a fear of getting started, but a lot of other people have a fear of fighting back. Like they have a sick family member or a challenge with the law or the regulations or chargebacks or terminations, or something just happens to them in their life or their business or both that really like punches them right in the gut. And you've had your fair share of things, punch you in the gut, but you keep fighting back plenty of times. You keep showing up and you keep writing business. What would you say, not about the fear of getting started, but the fear of not fighting back and continuing to push forward when it isn't easy in this business?
You gotta keep chopping wood. I know it sounds real cheesy, real corny, but you just gotta keep doing the fundamentals. And if you've been doing the fundamentals properly, you've been in business for about a year, you should have a book of business you can call. You should have referrals coming in. You should have someone who lapsed 6 months ago, call out the blue, hey, Thomas, I want to get back started, which I had happen last week. So if you've been doing the fundamentals, when those bad things happen, you should have something to fall back on to kind of get through that little valley you're going through.
Well said. I've got a couple boxes upstairs in my attic. I call them break in case of emergency. I know I could put them in the back of my car, drive to Philadelphia, and make enough money to be able to pay the bills if everything else around collapsed. So that's the book of business you can fall back on when you have to fight back in this business. Dom, let's wrap up with one practical piece of advice, one sales tip, something an agent can do this week to make more money than they did last week.
It's tried and true. Call your book. Call it. Start with your sales. You'd be shocked how many of those people got some coverage from you. Because if we focus on our chargebacks, you don't get a notification when somebody pays their bill. You don't, right? They just pay their bill, and it's that only notification you'll get is once it passes the 6 or 9 month mark that, oh, I got another $50, $60, $130 trickle in. Great. You don't even think about it. Call those people this week. If your new leads are stagnating, just take a day, make a list. Hopefully you already have a list. Call all those people. Hey, Ms. Johnson, this is Dominique. I just want to check in. Leave a voicemail if they don't answer, and then follow up with the text. But call all those people. That's going to generate new business. It's going to put you top of mind. It's going to get you referrals. Oh, hey, my sister, I was just talking about that. Or if you're now doing Medicare and you weren't doing Medicare then, right? Mention the Medicare. Oh yeah, I do need a review. Or yeah, I got a letter saying my plan was terminated, or my agent never came to see me, right? So I would just say that start with your sales, then go to your people that fell off the books. Me and Thomas were talking about this. The people that you just didn't. Something happened, right? Everything was good. It sounded good. They never got the banking, a Wazi, a Woozy, whatever. But yeah, any of those things. So I would do that this week, but like, do it for real. Don't do it like, oh, I call 5 people today. Like, no, call like 50 people today, and then call 50 people tomorrow, and then call 50 people the day after. Because if you call 250 people this week, you can't tell me you won't find $5,000 in premium.
Well said. Remember, if this is new to you, we do this 255 business days out of the year. We provide you elite level training. We provide you insight in the industry before things happen or right as they've happened, so you know that they've happened. We provide a collection of individuals that are business owners, amazing people, and like-minded community for you to get around. We provide opportunities for self-accountability and education. And if Medicare is important to you, just because AEP is over, there are still fully integrated plans, LIS, C-SNPs, plan exit opportunities, and opportunities for you to help seniors. So that starts right now. Go out there, make money, make a difference. And if you need help, reach out to one of us. We'd be happy to give you a few tips or tricks or help you through a sale you'd need to pay this month's mortgage. Thomas, Dom, thanks for being here. Let's go win this week.
Absolutely.